And welcome back to episode 3 of the Pop-Up Diamond Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Fisher. It's so great to be with you guys again. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all of you that have watched episode 1, episode 2. If you're popping on here for the first time, catching episode 3, pause this, go back, find episode 1, then episode 2. Make sure you watch those because every video of this series is stacking atop the next. So you might not fully grasp a concept, even if it seems pretty fundamental on the surface level, until you've watched the previous videos that came before it, okay? So those of you that have been here with me from the beginning, I love you guys so much. Hopefully you're getting a lot out of this. Primarily, I just want you to have a different relationship to your power, a different relationship to authenticity, and see how there's a very practical way to step into, harness your power, and the benefits, really, the tremendous benefits of consistently showing up from your own natural state of power. Today, we're getting into this little forgotten season that's so critical when it comes to the entrepreneurial journey. And it's a season that everyone bails from unless you understand to, one, look for it, anticipate it. Like it's a natural part of entrepreneurship. And 2, what are the tools to help you endure so that you don't bail? And 3, how does this all relate to the principle of power? How does this all relate to diamond frequency? Let's get into it. When you're starting off on a project, it's really exciting at first. And there's this sort of honeymoon phase in the beginning where you're powered and you're fueled by the idea itself. And this is a very precious moment. It's a beautiful moment in the early journey of an actual idea that's being formed and then executed on. We really want to honor that stage, but we do want to acknowledge that what follows up quickly after the honeymoon stage is real business. Like the reality of the work you really need to do. And I think that this is something that I've learned to excel in because I've recognized that this is something no one's talking about. No one is really talking about this particular time period from after the honeymoon stage until at when you identify fully as someone who owns that new topic or that new business venture or that new thing that you're trying to like sink your teeth into and own. There's that period that I refer to as the season of development. This is something that I don't see people talking about. And unfortunately, because we're not being talked about it, we're not normalizing it. We're not taught to look for it. We're not taught the skills to help you endure. And so what happens is that we misread the information that we're getting during that time period. We feel the challenge or pressure. We feel worry. And we mistaken that as bad information that we shouldn't be reading or shouldn't be picking up on in that moment. And then we assume it's because we're not supposed to be doing that thing. And then we bail only to have it resurface the next year. Oh my God, this thing that I really want to do is coming back. And it's because you're meant to do it. What's meant for you, there's this cute little saying, what's meant for you will never go away. It will always find you again. So no matter if you decide to do it this year or not, it's always going to come back and nip at your heels until you listen. So the purpose here is to get you to understand that even when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, even when you're following your purpose, you're living your calling, you're living your sacred dharma, you still have to practice what you're here to do. In other words, no one is born 100% perfect in what you're here to do. I wasn't born a perfect public speaker. I wasn't born a great storyteller. I had to learn how to tell a good story. I had to learn how to be on camera and be comfortable. I had to learn technology. I had to learn how to teach all of these things. But it's certainly my calling. It's certainly my passion. And I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. But I had to get better at it. I once sucked and now I'm good, right? And there's things that I learned now that I'm absolutely terrible at, that I have to get better at. But that's the game. And I think that it does entrepreneurship a really disservice and the entrepreneur a disservice to not talk about those things. We all come into moments where we are absolutely frustrated with our business. If you haven't been there yet, wait, it's coming. I mean, it really is. And if you've been there into entrepreneurship, passion projects, side hustles, whatever, even your normal 9 to 5 job, I mean, there's always frustrations that come about. So if we can come at entrepreneurship with, I know there's going to be a shitty season. I know it's going to be difficult, but I have tools to help me weather the storm. And I know it's important and a part of the process. Then what are you going to do? You're going to go, oh, I'm here. Oh, wait, I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. This is supposed to happen. And it's actually beneficial. So this is why I teach inside of the diamond frequency ecosystem about the season of development. And this is why I'm giving you this information now. At the end of these 5 days, I'm going to have a very specific and special invitation for you to join what's called the DiamondLAB, which is so beautiful. The women went through that earlier this year. We're just blown away, and the progress and the projects they created and the momentum they felt was just exceptional. One of the precursors or the foundations that you need to have in place and understand is exactly this. It's not going to be easy all the time, but you don't want it to be easy. If it's easy, someone else has done it, and you're probably not in your own diamond frequency. Remember, it's like tuning into your own station. It's going to be a radio channel you never heard before. The diamond frequency, your frequency, is completely new to your ears. You have to give yourself that season to become familiar with it. It's not going to be comfortable. Most great change and great progress in your life is seldom comfortable, if ever. And sometimes there can be quite a stretch where we are stretched and we're not liking the feeling. But you have to remember right then, throw out comfort. Right now, throw it out. Whatever you're going through in this moment, throw out, I need to be comfortable to know that I'm doing it right. Throw out, abandon the idea and concept wherever it came from that your personal growth and legacy here on this planet is anything close to I'm comfortable. But yet we just polarize it. Oh my God, if I'm not comfortable, Kim, that means I must be in pain. No, it just means that you're learning your great idea that makes your heart race and that you can't wait to like get your DBA or your LLC or launch that podcast with that name, whatever the project is when it first drops. That seed is powerful. But then at some point it is reality and it's what you're doing. And so the reason the season of development sucks and it's uncomfortable and the reason everyone wants to bail is because there is an identity gap that presents itself there. The gap is so real. I'm here just starting, but I want to be over here. I want to be golden. I want to be polished. I'm guilty of that 100%. Everyone is. It's because when you first visualize your idea, you don't visualize it as the starting point. We only ever visualize our goals in the end point. We only ever visualize the goals as done. And so that's what actually gives us power and fuel to get going and build momentum. And that's what's brilliant about it. It's like a huge boost of rocket fuel. But then when the rocket fuel is emptied, what are we left with? Oh my God, our beginner self who isn't perfect and doesn't know what she's doing. And then we're daunted and frightened and frustrated by that. Well, where do I go from here? I can't do this and I got to learn that now. And we become overwhelmed. Can you relate? Let me know in the comments below. But this is the difference between the people who will succeed and get to and experience their goals, which is less than 6% of Americans, by the way, versus people who do not, who drop out of the race altogether, which is 20% of people. So if you want to be above in that 6%, we've actually got to close the identity gap as quickly as possible. And that's what people are unwilling to do, because the only way to close the identity gap is to every single day get up and act as if you're already her. Every single day, make decisions as her, dress as her, walk like her, talk like her, do the things that are her. And every single day you do that, you are fighting against the mind going, but you're not her yet. You're wackadoodle right now. You are out of your mind crazy. You don't have the followers. You don't have the money. Why are you talking about that? Why are you so confident? You don't have the experience. Right? We get this mental dialogue. That moment you feel and hear that internal dialogue, I want you to get excited. And the reason I want you to get excited is because that is a symptom. You are in the season of development. Yes. When you are experiencing self-doubt, when you are experiencing the whoa factor of like, oh my God, everything I got to do, and the overwhelm and the frustration, I want you to go, okay, let's go. Double down time, because this is actually when You're supposed to be feeling it. So the secret here, and this is where manifesting comes in. Hello, hello, pay attention. With manifesting, you actually have to ignore your current reality. You have to ignore your current reality. Why? Because everything around you right now, everything around you is a printout of the past. I decided to buy this crystal a year ago. I decided to buy this candle, I don't know, whenever I did the Moxie pop-up podcast earlier this year. I bought this a couple of years ago for the yoga studio. This is like my clothes, everything, my hair dye, everything. Everything is from the past that's around you. Nothing in your physical reality right now is any indication of what is possible for you in the future. I teach you all of this, manifesting and more, inside of the upcoming program, Diamond Frequency University. By the way, link below, pre-sales going on right now, and you can get in and save a whole bunch of money on your first month. Okay. So if you want to learn more about manifesting and business ship and join it together with soul powered, amazing energy and strategy, then join me inside of Diamond Frequency University. The 3D reality has a delay by 4 to 6 weeks. You cannot use your physical reality to determine where you're going to go. What can you use to determine where you're going to go? What's possible? The mind, your belief, your ability to envision and project an imagination, and then believe in that imagination and believe 100% of your being that that is going to happen. And then we sit back into that principle of power and we neutralize it because we know whatever we have visualized has been chosen for us to see. And so we hold the codes naturally to make it happen. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen that visualization. You would have seen something else. But you're seeing that visualization. You're having that desire. And your desire and your visualizations are divine assignment. You hold the codes to get going on them right away, to make them into reality. That's how that works. But you cannot use your current reality around you, your physical reality, to determine, to keep you going, to keep you motivated. So when you're in the season of development and it hits you like a wall and you're frustrated and overwhelmed and experiencing desire to drop out of the game, I want you to understand that this is supposed to be the way it is. You're probably leaning at that point too much on your physical reality, and you're not leaning enough into the creation of the mind. You need a creative process. You need an ability to tap into energies of masculine and feminine energies, and energy of soul and spirit, and the body and the breath. Holistic empowerment comes into play here. And I teach you all of this inside of the upcoming DFU program. This is where we get the intersection of spiritual and action, of desire and of strategy, because you need both. You can't just sit around waiting for things to show up and then go, oh, I guess it's time for me to go. You have to rely on something else. So if it's not the external world, it must be the internal world. This is moxie. This is guts. This is that determination that the ones who succeed know they need to tap into. This is that power energy that we talked about in yesterday's episode. The 5 power codes that allowed you to exude confidence and momentum. Ultimately, from the power codes and sitting back into your principle of power, what is the outcome? Velocity. Velocity, and guess what that gets you through the season of development? Instead of sinking down into the mud and trudging your way through this difficultness and beating yourself up in the war and the battle that's going on inside the mind. Because really, that's what it feels like, right? It's terrible. I know how it is. I get there. I get in those places too. I'm not teaching this because I don't know. I know exactly how it feels to want to quit. I know exactly how it feels, guys, to want to cry, to cry yourself to sleep, to be absolutely worried and stressed out. Absolutely. But the difference now is that I have experience and I know when I cracked the code to actually get velocity. That's where the power codes generated from was my own shortcomings, was my own inability to pull myself out of the season of development and to quit and keep quitting. I keep comparing myself and slowing myself down and torturing myself no more. So now instead, the breakthrough for myself and the women that have already gone through DFU and the DiamondLAB earlier this year, they are momentous babes. The key factor that you'll see with women who go through the DFU program is they no longer hesitate or oscillate or overthink. The analysis leads to paralysis is gone. They have a intuitive hit. They sit back in their power. They clean up the energy, make sure it's really authentically theirs. And then they make a plan and a strategy. Both plan and strategy are different. I teach you this inside of DFU, and then they go. Because the chasm of identity or that identity gap isn't real. So there it is, the man behind the curtain. The rabbit just came out of the hat. Okay. This is what you have to understand is that you are already her. Whatever it is you want to be, you hold the keys to the kingdom now inside of you. And so we really are just now like, when are you going to stop pretending that you're not her already? Do you see the difference? Instead of going, oh, I got to like struggle. I got to close the gap. I got to work hard to close the gap. But then the higher heart, the higher mind, the wisdom consciousness comes in and says, but it's all an illusion because time isn't linear. According to the 5D world of quantum physics, 5D world, 3D is space, 4D is time, 5D is the quantum. Quantum, the 5D space, time is a big field. Everything's happening all at once. The past, the present, the now, all at once. So time doesn't exist like 1 second, then this second. There's no linearity to it. It's just all happening at once. And so on that level, which is another form of reality, what you want already exists. And so what I teach you inside of DFU is how to summon her, how to summon your higher self and act as if every single day. When you do it in a specific frequency with a specific set of tools in a specific mindset, the brainwave has to be in a specific mindset and brainwave. You can activate that part of you instantaneously, and we have velocity. Once you start to pick up velocity, you no longer second guess. You no longer compare yourself, and you get your quantum leap right through that season of development. You go right through the identity gap because it's not really there. You become her instantaneously, and we close the gap or shorten it significantly. If you didn't have any resistance, I'd say you're not going big enough, right? Okay. So this is how we shorten or collapse time. This is how we get our quantum leaps. This is how we experience a robustness in our relationship to our business. This is how we start to feel incredibly confident and we move through turmoil super quickly and we don't battle it out in the head where we're dead. Instead, we live and we experience and we go forward anyhow. This is how we get through the season of development where every single person bails. When you don't bail, you succeed. You cross the finish line as your future desired self. And behind you is a wave of everything that you've created. And the consistency and the clarity and the confidence that you built along the way will only catapult you into the next business venture, partnership, collaboration, whatever it is you decide to do. And the good thing about this is that once you do it once, you build momentum. It is a compounding effort. Every time you start a new project, season of development, you perceive the identity gap. We close it really quick, sitting back into our principle of power. We use the power codes. We're tuning into our diamond frequency because above all, when you are in your diamond frequency, when you are operating from your own authentic codes, there is nothing but velocity and there is nothing but momentum and there is nothing but progress because that is your natural state. Ooh, tell me in the comments, how is this rocking your shit? Have you had a breakthrough? I'd love to read. And of course, like and subscribe. It'd be my honor to have you as a guest. And if this video you think could serve anyone else you know who's on the entrepreneurial path, please do me a favor and share this out with them. Why not? Free resources. So tomorrow is going to be our 4th video in this pop-up series. And this is going to be so juicy. I love it. We're going to be talking about diamond wealth. What does it mean to have a healthy relationship with wealth inside of this ecosystem of the diamond frequency? What is your unique, authentic signature with wealth? And how would you go about pricing your products, pricing your services based on this diamond frequency system and ideas? It's going to be a little different. It's going to open you up to a new way of thinking about money altogether for your business, for your brand. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned. I will see you guys for your next episode.